China is refusing to negotiate with President Trump on U.S. tariffs. In fact, the nation is taking the trade war to a new height.
China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them. There's no difference between China and any other country, except they are much larger.
But this vendor in Yiwei telling us U.S. clients just aren't buying anymore because of tariffs.
And making the entrance right now to a standing ovation, the 47th President of the United States of America.
Bloomberg understands that China is considering suspending its 125% tariffs on some U.S. imports as the economic costs of the trade war weigh heavily on certain industries.
Donald Trump just told the world he's ready to be very nice at the negotiating table with China. He says tariffs on Chinese goods will come down substantially. But here's the twist. China isn't buying it. In fact, they're mocking him online and on the record, calling his move chickening out. What's really behind this sudden shift? Is Trump softening, or is the pressure at home becoming too much to handle? Let's break this down.
Howard, how many countries have we spoken to already? 90. And in the end, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have great deals. And by the way, if we don't have a deal with a company or a country, we're going to set the tariff. We just set the tariff. It's something that we think that will happen, I'd say, over the next couple of weeks. Wouldn't you say? I think so. Over the next 2-3 weeks, we'll be setting the number. And we're going to pick, could be for China too, could be for China. We're dealing with almost all of them. Too many to fully deal with, but we're going to be fair to them. But we're dealing with a lot of countries right now, and could be with China, but maybe we'll make a special, a deal.
Trump's obsession with tariffs goes way back. To him, they've always been the ultimate power move. Punish China, bring jobs back, fund programs. But this week, he pulled a 180. From hardball to handshakes, Trump now promises a kinder, gentler approach. He even vowed not to bring up COVID's origin, just to keep things nice. Why? Because Wall Street's rattled, inflation's still biting, and the election clock is ticking. This isn't strategy. This is damage control. Beijing didn't flinch. They called his comments vague, misleading, and flat-out fake. The unilateral tariff hikes were initiated by the U.S. If it wants to fix this, it must remove all tariffs, said China's Commerce Ministry. He who tied the bell must untie it. China also denied Trump's claim that officials are in talks every day. Their response? Fake news. No talks, no deals, no backing down. Chinese analysts aren't buying Trump's sudden peace offering. Wang Yiwei, a top policy advisor, said, "Trump says one thing today, another tomorrow. He's not trustworthy." Another expert, Xinbo, put it bluntly. China is in no rush to talk. Why would they be? They believe Trump's just reacting to market panic and domestic heat. And China, they're confident, patient, and ready to wait him out. Victor Gao, the Chinese lawyer who's gone viral recently, saw this coming. He warned the U.S. was weaponizing trade, and it would backfire. He called Trump's strategy short-sighted. And he wasn't alone. Chinese state media says Trump's retreat is proof his tariffs failed. Instead of weakening China, they just exposed America's economic pressure points. Let's not forget J.D. Vance's recent insult, calling Chinese people peasants. Victor Gao didn't hold back. We are not peasants. We are engineers, scientists, innovators. That kind of rhetoric just deepens the divide.
I don't think Beijing is desperate for a deal.
So does the U.S. have less leverage in your view now than it might have had in the first trade war?
If U.S. policymakers or if the Trump administrations think that it could or America could force China into a deal, I do not think that is going to happen. After all, think through the lens of Beijing and the case of Panama Canal is to the extent that it becomes a large public embarrassment, and this is not the leader of a great power wanting to be traded off. And a great leader do not want to come to a negotiation table with
and look weak.
Exactly, or for that matter, with his hand tied. And if I can just conclude by saying that, if we look across the board, China realized that, if the United States is withdrawing from a lot of international institutions, and if the United States is actively, or the current administration is actively potentially sabotaging the role of the US dollar and sabotaging Americans' alliance system, and America is trying to redefine the international order, perhaps China is going to do exactly the opposite. And I think the message has been clear. In a lot of ways, the Trump administration offered Beijing, offered Xi Jinping and his cadres ways to walk back some of China's economic policy missteps without being embarrassed or without having to admit wrongdoing. So from that perspective, if I were Beijing, why am I going to desperate for a deal? I'm not going to.
And it shows how out of touch some U.S. leaders are with modern China. Trump may be trying to ease tensions, but China's calling his bluff. And while he flip-flops, Chinese industries, EVs, semiconductors, AI, keep surging. Meanwhile, U.S. allies like the UK are stuck in the middle, caught in the fallout of a trade war they didn't start. Gao said it best. China doesn't need to crush the UK, it's already ahead. Trump's latest promise to lower tariffs might sound good to voters or investors, but to China, it just screams weakness. They've seen this movie before. Big talk, then walkbacks. And now, they're not even picking up the phone. This isn't a negotiation. It's a standoff. Trump tried to outplay China on the global chessboard.
Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Vance suggested that with tariff rates as high as they are now, it's effectively an embargo of trade between the United States and China. Do you see it that way?
Not sure. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to that. We were talking about fentanyl, where various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high. It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. They're going to do very well, and I think they're going to be happy, and I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. So I think it's going to work out very well. But no, it's at 145%. It will not be anywhere near that number.
But now, he's making quiet moves, hoping nobody notices the retreat. The truth? America's trade war isn't ending. It's evolving, quietly, strategically, and maybe dangerously.
Putting 54% tariffs on China shifts the whole global economy very, very quickly. And it's not good. Even if we can't quantify exactly how bad it is definitely very, very bad. Second thing, markets. Over the last 10 years, the US markets, US stock market, has absolutely dominated the world. 70% now of all international investment goes into the US markets. If you're somebody listening who has an index fund, or AJ Bell or Vanguard, 70% of your investments, if you've got a global portfolio, will be in the United States. So he has just taken a sledgehammer to market confidence in the United States, and US stocks will start falling. And this will have enormous global ramifications because it's 70% of the global markets. It's been the safest thing for a decade. It isn't any longer.
So we have to ask, is this Trump blinking first, or a setup for an even bigger clash ahead? Let us know what you think in the comments. Like if you found this breakdown helpful. Subscribe for more deep dives on US-China relations, global power moves, and political strategy. Drop a comment. Do you think Trump's backing down or playing the long game? Thanks for watching. Stay smart, stay skeptical, and we'll catch you in the next one.